I imagine us all watching with bated breath as Bitcoin attempts to reclaim key psychological levels, hopefully delaying, at least for me, the need of a real job.
Absolutely, she needs a job.
I kid, of course, but we are all very emotional. I know, I'm right there with you. There is, however, a huge amount of misunderstanding regarding Bitcoin right now, where it's going in the short, medium, and long term, and in addition, I aim to shed light on certain topics like, was it Elon who crashed Bitcoin? How likely is it that we are now entering a bear market? Just give me the truth. Is China suppressing the value of Bitcoin? And the truth behind one of the biggest stories in years, which is really saying something. And lastly, are NFTs stupid? So first up, did Elon crash Bitcoin? No. Next up, are we entering a bear market? I want to give you some perspective, and there probably is no one better at that right now than Michael Saylor, who had this to say about where he thinks Bitcoin is going just yesterday.
The Bitcoin is going to flip gold, and it's going to subsume the entire gold market cap. Then it's going to subsume negative yielding sovereign debt and other monetary indexes until it grows to $100 trillion.
Good stuff. So Bitcoin is currently 10% or so under a $1 trillion market cap. At 10 trillion, each single coin would be worth nearly $500,000, and at 100 trillion, over $4.5 million per coin.
Oh my God! Wow!
That relies on a lot of things playing out in a certain way, all very theoretical, but suffice it to say, long term, good. Midterm, I would say the only thing stopping Bitcoin from reaching $100,000 this year, which is, I think, my very reasonable 2021 price prediction, only thing stopping it would be an economic crash. Despite Bitcoin being technically the least correlated asset class, it also behaves much like tech stocks do, which is to say mostly up, but sometimes down a lot, and moving together in a coordinated fashion. I do not believe there is enough evidence to suggest Bitcoin would be a safe store of value in an economic crash. Only that it would perhaps recover faster than most assets like we saw in March 2020, but no one can definitively say when an economic crash would occur. But if you want my in-depth opinion on that topic, then please check out this video. Short term, well, that's anyone's guess, but a correction is long overdue, but hopefully it plays out like mid-January did, and we know what happened shortly after. Does anyone else remember the bear market of mid-January?
I remember.
Smash like if you survived. Oh, I remember. But this brings us on to our next point. Is China suppressing Bitcoin? I am, of course, referring to the miner controversy lately, specifically from that of Chinese mining company F2 Pool. This has been highlighted by a number of prominent names in the space over the past few weeks, but this has not stopped them at all. Bitcoin price crashes recently have coincided with high levels of Bitcoin outflow from them to exchanges. Recently was no exception. In fact, these guys were behind the last sell-off we saw in January, dumping 10,000 Bitcoin a day for 3 days in a row. Damn. General takeaways on this whole situation are multifaceted, but primarily, number one, this sell-off recently was so intense because of F2 Pool. Number two, Bitcoin mining is controlled by these Chinese companies, and they are maliciously suppressing Bitcoin. And number three, the reason that they are doing it is so that they can short Bitcoin on exchanges before they crash the price, which, if done correctly, means they're earning at least the amount of Bitcoin they sold back again, meaning they might never stop what they're doing. And I'm totally sick of this. Let me go buy some Cardano. However, what if I told you that's not what the reality of the situation is? Like, at all. That F2 Pool, who has been supporting Bitcoin for over 7 years now, have barely sold any Bitcoin since 2018. How? Well, this is registered as F2 Pool's real Bitcoin wallet. They keep about a few hundred Bitcoin in it at all times and have done since 2018. They themselves are not a sole miner, they are a mining pool, meaning people from all over the world can pool together their Bitcoin mining operations, big or small, in order to increase their chances of earning rewards. These exchange inflows are not from this sole wallet, but from individual wallets that utilize F2Pool services. It doesn't change the end result that we're seeing. Miners are still selling regardless of who, but it is a very important distinction to make. It would be like blaming the Reddit CEO for complicitly manipulating the stock price of GameStop. True? To a degree, I guess. A problem though. Well, you're advocating for censorship of communities, and the whole point of Bitcoin is being able to do what you want with it, even if some people don't agree with what you're doing. So, addressing the 3 takeaways again now, the sell-off recently was so intense because of community selling. It sounds so simple now, doesn't it? Number 2, Bitcoin mining is still likely dominated by China, but nowhere near the extent that is commonly believed. And 3, a community all organizing to systematically sell tons of their Bitcoin and opening short simultaneously sounds, well, theoretically possible on paper, but in practice, very, very risky and a little too conspiratorial for my liking. Conspiracy theories in general don't seem to age very well in crypto. They're kind of annoying. It doesn't mean it isn't happening, but it just doesn't sound that sustainable to me. Which brings us on to another commonly believed conspiracy, completely unbacked Tether. In perhaps one of the biggest news events in recent years, the New York Attorney General's probe of Bitfinex, Tether's parent company, ends in a settlement, bears in absolute disbelief right now.
Bye.
Tether has admitted to zero wrongdoing here, but will pay a small fine and show their books openly to US authorities for the next 2 years, and in exchange, all charges against them are dropped. Crazy.
And every time the price of Bitcoin goes down, literally overnight they issue more of this Tether that is used literally to manipulate the price of Bitcoin.
People have been saying Bitcoin will go to zero because of unbacked Tether for as long as I've been in crypto. Even JP Morgan was talking about it like last week. But this basically settles the argument about Tether to a degree now where even if you still don't believe that all of it is backed, no one's going to do anything about it. Now, it's not as big a deal as you might think. Tether is only the most popular coin not because of unbacked rampant printing, but because it was first to market and therefore had an advantage way more important than it is for other coins. First to market is essentially a cheat code for a stable coin because it would inherently attract the best liquidity available. Liquidity is super important for whales. Enough depth to the liquidity and they can make big buys or sells without pushing the price too much, so they're attracted to where the money is, and it makes it insanely difficult for other stablecoins to catch up that have less value propositions. If USDC was the first to market, USDC would be the most popular. It's literally that simple. But the reason so many were worried was because they never completed a public audit and changed their wording about how exactly their tokens are backed on their website. I memed the situation many times.
No, show you the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is that the founders of Bitfinex are billionaires and have been since at least 2018. Operating the world's most popular stablecoin is extremely profitable. I can't even imagine their net worths now. For a billionaire, the creation of more wealth is very important, but not more so than preserving their existing wealth. Playing it fast and loose with authorities, risking becoming fugitives, potentially losing everything. Again, theoretically possible. I don't know for certain.
This town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm gonna give it to him.
But it's a little too conspiratorial for my liking. Not when they stand to make a killing just complying with the law. So last but not least, are NFTs stupid? Yes. At least what they're currently being used for, but I am bullish on the NFT space. I'll explain why. Here's a picture that recently sold for $600,000. That seems crazy. It is. But here's why it might not be. Currently, NFTs are considered brand new ways of owning art digitally, where only one or limited copies exist and is verifiable on the blockchain, typically Ethereum's. This creates an opportunity for the savvy investor. Number 1, NFTs are considered cool because they are potentially the future of art, and so they'd be owning a piece of early history. But most importantly, number 2, the value of it goes up. And the valuations have been going up, which leads to a cycle and a bubble forming. Logan Paul, incidentally, sold some NFTs and did $3.5 million in sales on his first day. That's insane. Will every big influencer not want to do this until they do it so much that they kill the entire space for a while? Probably. But that time is not yet. So I'm short-term bullish on art NFTs. But the truth of it is, genuinely, no one wants to pay $600,000 for a JPEG. They want to sell it for a profit, and that's truthfully why the space is so popular, like a giant game of pass the parcel, where it's all fun and games until the music stops. So those are the things that I think people commonly get wrong about Bitcoin and otherwise in the crypto space. Like I say, I'm still bullish on $100,000 Bitcoin this year in every event, barring a stock market crash, and I will remain so, considering we have more stimulus on the way. Michael Saylor just announced he bought $1 billion of Bitcoin and an aggregate of $52,000 per. He's probably going to do it again in the future. And we have Square, who just announced a $170 million buy, or 5% of their cash reserves. Those are rookie numbers, Jack. You gotta pump those numbers up.
Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
But more companies, no doubt, following suit. Man, that just makes me feel good. Just keep stocks and equities up, please. Thank you very much. Anyway, those are my thoughts. On a personal note, thank you for liking my videos so much. Genuinely means a lot and definitely visibly helps the channel to reach more people. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for your nice comments as well. I think I'm blessed with an amazing community. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.